Good day, everyone, and welcome to today's presentation on dopamine in the psychopathology perspective. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that plays a key role in our daily lives, influencing everything from mood and motivation to complex mental health disorders. Throughout this presentation, we'll explore how dopamine functions in the brain, its impact on behavior, and its connection to various psychopathologies. For the learning outline, we have to describe dopamine, how it works in brain functioning and behavior, and how it relates to psychopathology.
Let's start by understanding what dopamine is. Dopamine is often referred to as the feel-good neurotransmitter because it's deeply involved in our brain's reward system. It's crucial for regulating mood, motivation, and even motor control. According to biological psychology, certain activities such as sex, shopping, or smelling cookies baking in the oven can trigger a dopamine rush. In psychopathology, which is the study of mental health disorders, dopamine is a central player. It is a monoamine neurotransmitter responsible for switching on various brain circuits associated with certain types of behavior. When its levels are too high or too low, it can lead to conditions like schizophrenia, depression, and addiction. This is an illustration of dopamine binding to a receptor. Dopamine is secreted by the adrenal gland, adrenal medulla. Dopamine acting at G protein coupled receptors, and there are at least 5 subtypes of the dopamine receptor. Dopamine is removed from the synaptic cleft by a transporter protein called the dopamine transporter. Then, the dopamine will attach to the target receptor to produce a response or reaction.
Dopamine switches on locomotor system. It regulates ability to move in coordinated way. Once turned on, is influenced by serotonin activity. Dopamine pathways in the brain. Dopamine operates along several key pathways in the brain, each responsible for different functions. The mesolimbic pathway is all about reward and pleasure, making it highly relevant in addiction. The mesocortical pathway influences cognitive, control, and emotion, which ties it to mood disorders like depression. Meanwhile, the nigrostriatal pathway is crucial for movement, with its dysfunction linked to Parkinson's disease. Understanding these pathways helps us see how dopamine influences behavior and mental health. Synthesized dopamine, the amino acid tyrosine, is converted to L-dopa. Then L-dopa is decarboxylated to form dopamine, alleviating the abnormal level of dopamine.
In schizophrenia, we often see overactivity in dopamine pathways, particularly in the mesolimbic area. This hyperdopaminergia can lead to symptoms such as hallucinations and delusions. By understanding this connection, we can better grasp why dopamine-blocking antipsychotics are effective treatments. It's fascinating how a single neurotransmitter can have such a profound impact on perception and thought processes. Depression, on the other hand, is often associated with low levels of dopamine, particularly in the mesocortical pathway. This hypodopaminergia leads to symptoms like anhedonia, where individuals lose the ability to feel pleasure. It's a stark contrast to schizophrenia, highlighting how different levels of dopamine can produce vastly different mental health conditions. Dopamine doesn't just affect mood, it also plays a key role in cognition. In the prefrontal cortex, dopamine is essential for working memory and decision making. Dysregulation in this area can lead to cognitive deficits, as seen in conditions like ADHD and schizophrenia. This makes dopamine a critical factor in both our emotional and intellectual lives.
Another disease that has to do with dopamine levels is the Parkinson's disease. It is a degenerative disease that is characterized by deterioration in motor behavior like tremors, rigidity of muscles, and difficulty with judgment. It's characterized by the deficiencies in dopamine. Given dopamine's influence on so many aspects of behavior and mental health, it is no surprise that many psychiatric treatments target this neurotransmitter. Dopamine agonists, on the other hand, boost dopamine activity, helping treat conditions like Parkinson's disease. Antipsychotics work by blocking dopamine receptors, reducing symptoms of schizophrenia. Specifically, that the FDA has approved this dopamine partial agonist for schizophrenia, the aripiprazole and the brexpiprazole. Stimulants, often used for ADHD, increase dopamine availability, improve focus and attention. For example, the amphetamine, dextroamphetamine, and the methylphenidate.
Treatment of depression may include selective serotonin uptake inhibitors such as fluoxetine, Prozac, that affect both the neurotransmitters serotonin and dopamine to make them work. In conclusion, dopamine is a key player in both normal behavior and psychopathology. Its roles in regulating mood, motivation, cognition, and movement makes it central to understanding mental health. As research advances, we continue to uncover new ways to modulate dopamine's effects, offering a hope for more effective treatments. Thank you for your attention, and we look forward to any questions you might have.